Hey guys, I had a package arrive today at work. Um, yeah, it arrived while I was at work in the morning. I have already opened it because just now I recorded this video and forgot to push record, so I did a whole video and then there was nothing. So yeah, I've already opened the package. I don't want to fake my reaction, so I'm just gonna show you guys what came in the package. It did come from Marc, who has sent me numerous jerseys before from Ireland. Marc is very generous, and I can't thank him enough for contributions he's made to the channel. Two things came in the package. The first one, and my reaction was very perplexed. I thought it was a Christmas decoration because it looks like it could be hanging on a Christmas tree. But then when I read the little barcode here, it says Leinster Poncho. So I cracked it open, and sure enough, in there is a poncho. I haven't unraveled it yet, but I will save that for a rainy day. I've never seen these for sale at any of the New Zealand rugby grounds, despite the fact that it rains a whole lot in New Zealand. So yeah, a Leinster Poncho will definitely come in handy at some point, especially if I go to like a club rugby game where there's no covered seating. So yeah, that'll be a very welcome addition. Thank you for that, Marc. That is awesome. But more awesome than that, he kind of tricked me in the email because he didn't tell me what jersey he was sending. He has sent a Queensland Reds Super Rugby jersey. It's very, very cool because I do not have a Queensland Reds jersey. I've got all the other teams apart from two. It was the Reds and the Brumbies. Now it is just the Brumbies I do not have because I have got the Reds added to the collection. I think it's the 2017 jersey from what the tag said, so it is the red Reds jersey rather than the maroon or maroon if you're Australian, Reds jersey. So it's very cool. I actually rated, when I did a jersey rankings video, I ranked the Reds one as one of my favorites. So yeah, something just to kind of the simplicity about that kind of just pure red jersey despite all the sponsor stuff on it. Maybe it's because I'm a Blues fan and I just like blue and red. The Blues jerseys are a bit busy these days, but this Reds one is just pretty, kind of keep it simple. So yeah, man, very much appreciated, Marc. I'm going to try this on. I'll walk down the street in a bit in a Queensland Reds jersey and take a photo of myself in that. I don't think there's much animosity towards the Reds here in Auckland because in recent years they've not been very good, and neither are the Blues. So there's not that kind of much. If it had been a fair few years ago, there might have been a bit more. But yeah, Reds jersey, very cool, Marc. Thank you so much for that. And I'm just going to talk a few words about some of these other things that have been in the news of late. So the first one is I read on Rugby Pass, and so far they're the only ones, as I record this, actually recording this time, the only ones to be reporting it, but Eddie Jones apparently to lead the British and Irish Lions to South Africa in 2021. Like I said, I haven't seen it reported from anyone else. It's only, what they're reporting is that he's been offered that role rather than he's been confirmed in that role. So it still seems to be kind of early days. The story points out that Gatland's going to be back in New Zealand, that Schmidt has said he's not going to be coaching. So that kind of leaves Eddie Jones as perhaps the most prominent guy to do it. And they alluded to the fact that he has said a few kind of negative things about Warren Gatland's role there, that it was kind of an ambassadorial role when he was doing it in the last two tours. He didn't directly address it, but just said he wouldn't want to be wearing a blazer for 8 weeks and that's all he's doing. He wants to be coaching or something like that. So if he does go back on that, I'm sure it'd be a great honour because there's not that many guys that get to coach the British and Irish Lions. So it'll definitely be another boost for his reputation, especially if the tour goes well. And the article pointed it out, perhaps it would be a pretty divisive pick because he's had some frosty relationships with the fans of some of the other nations who make up the Lions outside of the England team. So yeah, that could be an interesting one. What do you guys reckon? Do you think it'd be a match made in heaven, or perhaps less so? The next one is just a quick word on some red cards. So Super Rugby over the weekend, 2 games had red cards. One was tele'a, tele'a. He had a red card in the Blues game against the Stormers. Dylan Lades went up for a high ball. Tele'a kind of came in and was going to go for it, but then pulled out. But because he stopped where he was, he just took out Dylan Lades' legs, and Lades ended up tumbling to the ground in a pretty dangerous manner. So he ended up getting red carded, 4-week ban for tele'a. I think it's his first kind of major offence, but he's been punished with 4 games. And then the other game was the Bulls and the Sharks, and there was a full-on fist fight. Like, we often see a bit of handbags in the games these days, but no one ever really throws a punch. Yeah, these guys threw punches. It was Skulk Brits from the Bulls and Aka van der Merwe from the Sharks, the 2 hookers, both Springboks, perhaps rivals for that backup job, the 16 jersey for the Springboks. Yeah, they came to blows, both punching each other in the face multiple times. But interestingly, Skulk Brits has copped a 4-week ban, and Aka has copped 3 weeks. So an interesting bit of disparity. I thought they might have got the same ban. From what I read, in terms of games, it's actually the same. So they're both going to be missing 3 games because the Bulls have got a bye. Which is kind of a stupid way. I think rugby could probably learn from league. I think league does it in games. They ban you for X number of games, whereas rugby is weeks. I don't know, maybe weeks encompasses more competitions. Like, you can cover international, you can cover club level or whatever. But I don't know, it just seems a bit funny if one guy gets 4, one guy gets 3, but effectively it's both 3. But yeah, the Bulls aren't happy that he got a longer ban, given that it was a kind of 2 to tango kind of incident, and perhaps even Aka instigated it. I don't know. I'm also kind of torn, whereas tele'a's 1 to 4 weeks was an accidental one. It was careless, but it was still not intentional. 2 guys fighting each other, it doesn't get much more intentional than that, and yet similar bans. So I suppose you could look at it as in the risk factor of somebody falling on their head or neck from a dangerous tackle in the air is potentially more damaging than just a couple of guys throwing their fists at each other. I don't know, but it seems like the result seems to rule the roost more than perhaps the intent. But there was no intent in tele'a. He's 4 weeks. The other guys fighting each other for a wee bit of time on the ground. 3 and 4 weeks. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on those bans. How do you think they are in terms of fairness? And lastly, Ryan Crotty, just a word on him because he's been a pretty loyal servant to New Zealand rugby. He is heading off to Japan after the World Cup. It kind of makes sense. The guy's 30. He's not, I mean, midfielders can go well into their mid-30s, but he's probably not going to last that long. And also, the guy's got a bit of a checkered history with concussions, so it seems to be, at least from New Zealand players and some Australians who head abroad after their domestic career is done, they do tend to pick Japan if they've had issues with concussion. It seems to be that perhaps seen as a bit safer in terms of physicality than the European clubs, which can be pretty a bit of a grind, I guess, in terms of the amount of games they have to play and the physicality in those games. So yeah, it seems like a smart choice. He's 30, might as well get some money before he retires. As I said, good servant to New Zealand rugby, so kind of wish him all the best. But yeah, Aaron Smith signed to stay on, so I guess guys are still making that decision. What do you think of Ryan Crotty's decision to go? But yeah, that's all that's been happening. This time is definitely recording. Thank you again to Marc for sending that that package through. It is like jersey number 5 from Marc. It's a lot. So very, very generous chap, man. I hope all is well with you. And thank you so much for sending that once again. And the poncho. Can't forget about that. And yeah, a few of you guys are contacting me regarding flags. I've been mentioning that I've got a whole bunch of these Blues flags lying around the house that I've been picking up at every game that I go to. So I've had guys who follow the Reds, now that I got the jersey, and Stormers, Saracens, Leicester Tigers. Those are the main ones off the top of my head who've contacted me about sending a flag through. More than happy to exchange flags. If anyone wants a Blues flag, I'm very happy to send one out in exchange for a flag of whichever team. I'd be very happy to have those flags on the channel. I like to put them here or perhaps over there. just to kind of spruce the place up a bit and get a bit of fair representation of some of the teams. So yeah, a few jerseys on the way. I've been having a bit of issues with some of the mail that's been coming through. Like the Reds flag got returned to sender for whatever reason, even though it's being sent to my office where there's always people around. But also a bottle of sake has still not made its way to me. So yeah, a few things have been going on with some of the mail, but I'm going to try a new address going forward. So if anyone has flags, please feel free to get in touch with me. My email is in the description of the video. Send me a flag. I'm happy to send you a Blues flag. We'll get it on the channel and it'll be hunky-dory. So yeah, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts on these things. Thanks again to Marc for the jersey. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.